Okay, it looks like those joining have slowed down a little bit and it is 2:30, so I will go ahead and get us started. But I wanted to thank you, first of all, for joining me today for this month's Did You Know webinar. This one is going to be covering our display options tool, which will show you just that, lots of different options for how you can choose to display things within your Hawks Teach account. This is a tool that most people just don't even know it's here, or maybe you've never really clicked into it, but it's got a lot of really helpful options that I will point out. Before I jump into it, I do just want to make the mention that I will save some time at the end for any questions. So if you do have any questions come up while I am presenting, feel free to type those into the Q&A box in the bottom of the screen, and I'll make sure to get to them at the end of things. But what we are looking at right here on my screen is a Teach account. So hopefully, if you are attending this webinar, you have and are familiar with the Teach account. If not, please let us know. But the Display Options tool is going to be housed right here under the Tools tab at the top of the screen. And then I'll just click right in to Display Options. So what you're going to see here is a lot. I won't read everything at you, so don't worry about that. But here at the top of the screen, you can see we give you options for how you want to display a variety of things. And we give you options to adjust those display settings for you as the instructor and for your students. So again, I won't read all of these at you guys, but I did just want to point out a couple just to show you. For example, you can choose to display the date completed for each assignment for yourself if you want to see that, for the student, or just for one or the other. You can, for example, choose to display the weight for each assignment. Again, for yourself as the instructor, for the student, neither, up to you. You can see we've got these different options for assignments, for overall grade. One in particular people tend to like is you can choose to display the overall letter grade as well as the grade percentage. So that is an option for you. We have options for display under lessons. We've got options for different reports. So all student scores report, how you export grades, as well as your assignment reviewer. So again, all you need to do to adjust these display settings is just check the box for who you want it displayed for or not. And then always at the bottom of the screen, there will be a Save Changes button. It's grayed out because I haven't clicked anything, but say I turn this one on at the top of the screen or at the bottom, you can now click Save Changes. So just wanted to point out all of those things at the top of the screen. Now, specifically, I wanted to point out three very helpful options that are a little bit further down. So the very first one is housed here under Additional Instructor Gradebook Settings. I wanted to point out this tool right here, Section to Display when first viewing a report. So by default, if you are familiar with Hawks reporting, you know that when you click on a report such as all student scores, what you see is all sections. And then from a drop-down menu, you are prompted to choose which section you want to view the reports for. This will save you a few clicks. So say, for example, you know you only have one section in fall 2023 for your course. You can select that from the drop-down menu here and click Save, and that will automatically display your fall 2023 section data when you go to view a report, rather than you having to select it each time from the drop-down menu. So just a few clicks, but it does save you some time, and it's a really great convenience feature. You'll just want to make sure that you do update that every semester. And we are glad to help you do that if you ever forget how. A few other things are available for you to edit in this section. You can choose when editing assignment scores, whether to enter them as points or percentages. You can choose which view you want to see, several other minor settings that you can play with if you'd like to. But again, the main thing to point out here is just select which section you want to view in reports first from the drop-down menu and click Save. The next that I wanted to show you is here under messaging. If we scroll down a little bit, oops, didn't mean to highlight all of it, but here under messaging, I wanted to point out this checkbox right here, enable send to instructor in practice mode. So selecting this option will allow your students to email you screenshots of any questions they may be struggling with in the practice mode of the homework. So when this is enabled, your students will see a send to instructor option in the bottom left-hand corner of practice mode. And when they select send to instructor, Hawks is going to take a screenshot of the question that they're working on and their answer if they've submitted one. And then that screenshot will automatically be put in an email draft where the student can then type out any further explanation or question and send it directly to you. You can then connect with that student at a later time. Once you review their email, you see that screenshot, and that will allow your students to go ahead and send it to you and say, hey, I need some help on this, but then they can continue working. So I know that it's a little hard to visualize just looking at this checkbox here. So I did want to show you what that looks like on the student side. If I switch my tab here, so here I have a student practice mode pulled up. You can see in the bottom left right here, the send to instructor button. So if that feature is not enabled, this button will not appear. They'll just see tutor. But if you check that box and click save, the send to instructor option appears. Again, all your students have to do is click that button, and the software will take a screenshot of the question they're working on and put it in an email draft to you. So at that point, the student can say, hey, professor, I'm really stuck on number 1 on this homework. Can you help me out? And you can see exactly what they're seeing. So another great convenience feature, rather than trying to type out fractions and exponents and lots of difficult math or whatever it is, even if it's not math, in an email. But clicking back over here to the display options, the other thing that I really wanted to point out today is right here under custom tab. So by default, this is unchecked. There are no custom tabs. But if you check that box, that is going to allow you to create an additional tab in your students' accounts where they can directly access whatever you want them to access. So we typically see people link a custom tab to a helpful website, like maybe if you have a course website or your course syllabus online, you could link to a YouTube channel, Hawks TV, where we house all of our instructional videos. You could link to a data set if you're teaching statistics, really whatever you would like, no limitations on it. All you need to do is enter a description in the caption for what you want that extra tab to be called. And then all you have to do is paste in the URL or the link for that website. So for example, here, I've made an extra tab I'm going to call the materials tab, and I am linking the Hawks support website. So if I click save changes here, again, just to show you what it looks like in action, I'm going to switch back to my student view. Let me save and exit my practice mode. And again, this is just your typical student view of the course. By default, they get the to-do list, the lessons tab, and the web test tab. But now you see there's also a materials tab that was not there before. So that again was created by just checking the box for custom tab. I named it the materials tab, and here is the link I added for the Hawks support website. So again, this does not have to be Hawks related. You can add an additional tab and link any website you want to that you think would be helpful for your students. But just a great example there with the Hawks support website. So I will click back over here to our display options. This was a bit of a quick one today. That's everything I had planned to go over. Those are the most used settings we see taken advantage of within the display options tool. As you can see, there are lots of other minor boxes that you can check and the things that you can tweak to make your course exactly the way that you want it. But you don't need to adjust anything on this tab. Again, it's just all kind of convenience features for if you want to make customizations to your course and the way that things are displayed. So let me check and see if I have any questions in the Q&A. I do not right now. I'll give it a couple of minutes. Okay, let's see. Explain the export grade reports. Okay, exporting grade reports. That is just going to allow you to export. I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe this. Allow you to export grades. So for example, all of your student grades for web test or all of their grades for lessons or everything period, you can choose to export them. And I believe they are exported as a PDF format, but that is how you can get your grades at the end of term. If you have specific qualifications or specifications, excuse me, on how you need your grades exported, always feel free to connect with your school's customer success representative, and they're glad to help you get those exported exactly the way that you need them. Okay, answer live. Thank you for that. I'm going to see if anybody else has any additional questions. I'm glad to address them as well. We'll give it a few minutes. And again, just going back to the export grades, here you can choose whether you want to display the total points or if you just want to display the lesson's completion dates. So by default, it is going to show you your students' grades. So if they've made an A or if they've made a 98% or whatever they've made in your course, but you can just also choose to display the total points if you are running a points-based system, excuse me. And then you can also choose to display when you're exporting those grades, the dates that they were completed. So those are the two options here regarding exporting grades. Well, we've got a few more minutes. So again, I will hang around. I'm not in any rush, but I did want to thank you all so much for joining me. Oh, great. Another question. Let's see. Does the student email get sent through the Hawks email or to our other email accounts? Great question. It is going to be sent to whichever email is tied to your Teach account. So typically we see that being the school email, but maybe if you set up your Teach account with a personal email, it would then go to the personal, if that makes sense. It's just whichever one is tied to your Teach account. Great question. So by default, again, that is turned off. You can opt in with that enable send to instructor button, and you could always try it out. And if you decide you don't like it, just uncheck the box and you can turn it back off again. But great little feature there. Okay, well, oh, one more. Yes, how to review web test results. Great question. So that is going to be in a bit of a different area, but I am glad to show it. So we have been under tools and display options. To view web test results, you'll want to go to the reports tab. And under the reports tab, there are several different ways that you can get to it. I'm actually going to sign out really quickly and just switch my gradebook to my gradebook that has some dummy data in it so that I can show you guys some actual data. So thank you for bearing with me while I do that. Again, to view web tests, you'll just come to the reports tab. My Wi-Fi is just being a little bit slow to load. So several different ways you can access web test results. You can access it from all student scores, from detailed student grades, or from assignment reviewer. So lots of different ways. I'll just click into detailed student grades to show you. So from the drop-down menu, maybe I want to see, let's see, Paul Gardner here. Let's see if he has any web test. Yep, we've got a sample test right here, and he's had one attempt on it. So from that particular student's grades, you can just locate the test or the quiz that you want to view their results for. And if you just click, if you just click on actions over here on the right, okay, my dummy data here is messing me up a little. If you click on actions on the right here, this would say review attempt. Now mine is saying no attempts to review because we manually entered this dummy score. We don't actually have student Paul Gardner's score in here, but all you would need to do is click on actions and review his attempt. And that would take you directly to the assignment reviewer, where you can see every single question that student received, as well as the answer that they put in. So just to show you what that looks like, coming back to the reports tab, assignment reviewer is another way to get directly to that. So assignment reviewer by default is going to show you data for lessons, but you can also click onto web tests to see the data for your test and quizzes. So if I click on my sample test here, say in your class it's exam 1 or exam 2, whatever you want it to be, I can see a list of all of my students who took that test, and I'll be able to see what their score was. Now, again, I can't actually click into these students' attempts because they're fake students and they don't have real attempts. But in your class, these student names would be hyperlinked, and you would be able to click on, say, Paul's name, and it would bring up his specific attempt where you could see each question that he received, as well as the answers, excuse me, that he inputted. Let's see. I would like to see the test average and who did not take the test. Okay, so the fastest, quickest way to see that is going to be here under assignment reviewer. Just to show you, excuse me, I'm sorry, I've got a frog in my throat. Just to show you one more time what to do to get there. From the reports tab, just click on assignment reviewer. From assignment reviewer, by default, it will show you lessons. Click right here onto web test. You'll be able to see all of the tests that you have assigned. And then off the bat, you'll be able to see the number of questions, the number of points, and how many of your students submitted it, as well as the average score and the average amount of time spent on that test. Now, that is the really overarching big view. If you click onto a specific test, so say you want to see details for sample test, just click on it. That is going to take you to this screen where you'll see a list of all of your students who have taken that test, what their score was, when it was due, the number of attempts they made, and when they submitted it, as well as the amount of time they spent on it. So this is a great place to view that data. You can also click on the analytics tab for a test. And again, my students have not actually taken this test, but this will show you a per question breakdown of who got the questions right versus wrong. So you would easily be able to identify, for example, oh, a lot of my students missed number 10. But the analytics tab will show you for each question assigned in that test, what the learning objective was, the difficulty level associated with it, and the amount of students who got that question correct versus incorrect. So I hope that answered your question. I hope that was helpful. In a nutshell, answer to that question is the very best place to easily review web test attempts is going to be under assignment reviewer. You're welcome. Thank you. That was a fantastic question. Does anybody else have any questions for me? Okay. Well, I believe we are coming up on our time, but I want to thank you all again so much for joining. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you learned something new. If you ever do have any questions about display options or anything in general about Hawks, please feel free to reach out to us. You have your dedicated school representative you can reach out to, or you can always feel free just to call our support line or use our 24/7 live chat, and any one of our team members will be glad to assist you. But thank you again for your time. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and good luck with everything.